Hey guys, it's me, and today I wanted to talk about someone very close to my heart. Um, and that's my disabled feminist 3 times great grandmother, Vicenta, um, Laparra de la Cerda. Um, and yeah, um, this is going to be, at least that I know of, the first video about her in English. And I'm doing it because I feel like her story deserves to be told, and doing it in English will pretty much ensure that it reaches quite a big audience, or at least um as big as people who care about 19th century Central American feminists and writers. Well, anyway, just to tell you a little bit about her, she was born in 1831 in uh, Quetzaltenango in Guatemala, although we call Quetzaltenango, I think, by its indigenous name, Shela. Um, so yeah, that's where she was born, but um, she was actually raised in Comitán de las Flores, um, in Chiapas, in Mexico, in modern day Mexico, actually, because back in those days, it was disputed territory between Guatemala and Mexico, so there was kind of a mix of people there. And yeah, she was orphaned very young. I believe at around 6 years old. Um, and that caused her to basically be raised by her older sister, who I think some sources, I think, incorrectly say Jesusa. I don't think that's others say Jesus Laparra, which I didn't know could also be a female name, but that's what the sources say. And I believe, and this is just speculation, none of the sources outright say that. The most they say is that she was a Ladina, which could mean um two things. It could mean that she was an assimilated indigenous woman, or that she was a mestiza, mixed, like your boy, based on the way she looks, because I believe she did pass. I think she was a mestiza. Um and so yeah, but they must have been middle class in some sense, or had been left some sort of inheritance, because her older sister, as I was saying, educated her in like fine arts and writing and stuff like that. And so, and again, the sources don't say it specifically, but that must have meant also that their parents were liberal minded, and they believed that women should, be educated and everything. And so yeah, and she grew up eventually to become a journalist. She founded a paper, or a periodico, if you're Spanish, or if you speak Spanish, called La Voz de la Mujer, the voice of a woman, or of woman. And yeah, she was head writer for that, advocating for feminism, um, publishing female writers in Guatemala, and I believe it was one of the first periodicals headed by a woman in the country. Um, and she also eventually married. She married a Spanish nobleman, and that's my three times uh great grandfather named, let me see if I get this right, Cesar Francisco de la Cerda y Taborga. Um, and some sources say that they had 8 kids. Other sources say that they had 4 kids that survived and 4 kids that passed away due to obviously complications from that time. It would have been like the 1850s to the 1870s, and infant mortality in those days was high. So but yeah, now I'm not gonna say which of those children were my my other my 2 times great grandmother, because I don't want to compromise myself too much or my privacy. But yeah, in between one of those pregnancies, it might have been my 2 times great grandmother. She ended up having complications from that pregnancy or some other one that led to her being in a wheelchair. None of the sources say specifically what it was. My father has said that he thinks it might be some form of polio. I'm more apt to say that it was complications from pregnancy, just because of the amount of them that she had and the amount of unfortunate casualties from those pregnancies. But regardless of what it was, she ended up in a wheelchair. But she continued her writing work, her journalistic work, her novel work, because she also wrote novels. She wrote quite a few, which most of them are lost. I have one called La Calumnia, the calumny or the slander. And if you guys want to see a review of that, let me know. But I mean, I personally, not considering that it was written by like a 60-year-old woman in the 1890s, it's kind of trash, honestly. but I mean, considering that it was, like, taking that into account, that's a remarkable achievement. But she also wrote other works: El Ángel Caído, The Fallen Angel, Hortensia, and yeah, just so many. There's too many to list, bro. She was prolific. And yeah, and I want to talk about also that she and her husband were persecuted. The Guatemalan government forced them to flee a lot of the times because they were liberals, and they spoke against it a lot. Like a ton, bros. And she actually had to take work alongside her husband as like a governess, basically, and a teacher in Costa Rica and a bunch of other Central American countries. And I don't know, dude. It's just crazy how life is, really. I'm gonna speak personally now about how she inspires me. And like, she's really the only um one in my family that I can look to, that I can say I knew she related to me, and I'm strong. I want to be strong like her because she was in a chair and look at everything that she did. And like, I'm zeroth generation. None of my ancestors have lived in the United States before me. Uh and so yeah, she's the only one I have to look to that can even begin to parallel my own situation. And honestly, back in the days when I was part of the cell community, she was a big reason why I got out of it, because I was like, what would she think? She would probably like smack me upside the head if she knew that I was engaged in that type of talk about women, and that type of that I had those feelings about them. And so yeah, I'm gonna leave sources in the description. Most of them are gonna be in Spanish, but you can use Google Translate, I guess. Like I said, this is gonna be um the first video of her, I think, in English. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Bye.